Thank you all for coming. I can't believe this is my first program in New York. I've lived here 35 years and haven't done a program up here. I'm pretty constant in Florida, doing programs in the winter, and so I get nervous every time I get up here and have to do this. But it's so wonderful to see all these faces from all around and faces I don't know. So I hope this teaches you something. I know when I'm watching programs on TV or reading books, I'm sitting there going, I got to read a whole book to get one or two pieces of information. And I want to compact the material information so that it's quick and easy, and I don't want you to forage for things that don't taste good. So I stick to the ones that taste amazing because we grew up on them. So much more nutriently dense than anything you can get in the store. Our foods today are so hybrid and processed and everything else, where around here, the sumac, the big red spikes that are starting to come out right now for the next month, they will be in prime season. The Native Americans on the Iroquois Reservation, the Haudenosaunee people where my husband is from, they are used to using that plant with 22 different uses to it. And that one little shot glass of that, it tastes like lemonade, like pink lemonade. It is so simple, so fast, so easy to make and do. And I have learned to process it through the Amish ways, in a simple way, so that I have it year round. And that one little glass is like drinking 40 orange juice glasses in nutrients and vitamin C. So all of these plants, God has given us in our backyard, and the Bible talks about that those things are there in our yard, in our backyards to use. And if you think you got to go all the way somewhere around here to go find these things, I bet you the majority of everything I'm talking about is right within, I know in Florida, on a quarter acre, the amount of stuff I can grow. Even though I live on a 200-acre farm right now, my husband and I on the Iroquois Indian Nation, I just what's out my door is what I stick to. And I've learned also to find those things and bring them out to my door, pick the roots and plop them in the ground so that I don't have to be afraid, because so many people ask me all the time to forage and how do you do it, and I'm afraid for this, and I don't know if I'm going to get the right thing and it's poisonous. When you know what those things are and you bring them and put them in your yard, they will grow and grow and grow year after year. Why sit there and plant a crop every year that you got to get out there and start plants and do all this when these just grow forever and ever? And that's the way I like to do it, because my friend at the other church just down the road, she worked for me since she was 11 years old, and she told me 2 years ago, she said, Robbin, I am so exhausted from gardening. And she is such a hard worker, Kelly Lewis from the Vienna church. She said, I'm so exhausted from gardening. I said, take a break for a year. And this class I did for her. Today they had a party they had to go to, so she couldn't make it. And so we're live streaming because the Oneida Indian Nations people, they go on powwows all summer, and they're very upset. They've been begging me for 3 years to do this class. And I did it, and I didn't realize they were in I should know. What do I do? So anyways, I'm not very good at computers, so we'll see. You want to start from number 1, and yeah, I don't know how to even push the buttons. They blow up. when I touch them. Yeah, okay. So this is just in the woods growing all over right now. After it rains hard, you will see these pheasantback mushrooms, and they will be growing on dead logs, and there aren't any lookalikes. So I'm showing you mushrooms that don't have lookalikes that you can't go wrong on. And the speckled on the top, if you show the next one, the little speckles. Oh, okay, so I gotta go to the next one. The speckles shows the pheasantback. Now, when you turn it over, the bottom has all these dense pores, and they, the way that you know you don't have anything that is bad for you, it smells like watermelon. So you turn it upside down, smell it. If it smells like sweet watermelon, you've got yourself a pheasantback. And my husband and I, we go out and we collect those, and usually the outside edges, at this time of year, they get pretty dense in the middle, but on the outside edges, those white edges, you can cook them up, and you have never had mushrooms like this in a grocery store. They just have such a flavor that now this is just down the road here. My son purchased a property down the road, and he came up with this chicken of the woods here the other day, and it is so delicious. Again, you can't mistake it. It's like neon bright, and after the rain, it's 2 or 3 days before you get this fruiting that you'll see on the tree stumps. This kind of cropped off there, and it's over the time, but chantels, no, not chantels, morels. Morel mushrooms, they grow all over here, and you will see them under elm trees. And the flavor, I don't know what they're paying, like $60 or is it $600 a pound at the restaurants for these. I mean, that's how good they are. They're amazing. Now, I take these, when I find them under those certain trees, I take them and I put them in a blender, put just a touch of maple syrup, molasses syrup, just a touch in the jar, blend it up, let it sit in the jar for 2 or 3 days, let it ferment a little, and then I go out under that tree and I pour it out under that tree to get the spores all over. So a lot of these you can do that so that you can get them closer to you, or you can make them even more prolific. This next one is a burl just down the road here, and chaga. So the chaga mushroom, unreal, harder than a rock. It is not something you just want, you can't just cut it off and use it, yet you take it and break it with a hammer, and I mean, you gotta pound it. And I pound them, and then I have all these crumbles, and then I just cook them and boil them in water. Not quite a boil, just below a boil, and steep it for a while. And then I put it in little quart-sized plastic bags, lay them flat so that I have tons of chaga for the year. I can just break it out of the fridge because you don't have these things. Hello. So we don't have those things throughout the year. Well, they are throughout the year. You don't feel like picking them when this snow around here in this area can get 4 to 8 feet tall, because we used to live down the road. I mean, you guys really get the snow here. And so even with like wine caps, the mushrooms there, you can grow in the ground in your yard. You just buy those spores on Amazon, put a little molasses sugar in it, shake it up good, sit it on the counter for a day or two, pour it out in your garden, put down a bunch of wood chips in your garden in kind of a north side where you don't get a lot of sunlight, and you will have mushrooms out the wazoo. You will not be able to collect enough. And why go out foraging through everybody's, I mean, not all of us have land to go do that. And even us with the 200 acres we have, I don't get out there half the time. I mean, we all live busy lives. I want it outside my door. This is the spruce tip needles. If you want to hand out all the papers, I have all of these on paper, plus there's more. And I explain about some of the things, maybe not as much detail as I'm going into here. But these spruce tips, now we all have spruce, it's prolific around here, the spruce tips. That in the spring, when they get the lime green tips that come out for about a month or so, I pick those all off, stick them in the freezer, and lay them out on a cookie sheet in the freezer, and then I stuff them into quart baggies. And in the back, I have spruce tip tea. And it's usually a little better. I just was so pressed with so many things lately, I wasn't able to ferment it as long as I like to. But you culture for 2 to 3 days. It bubbles, it fizzes, and I stick a little bit of ginger bug in there that I make up, which is like one of the easiest things to make, ginger bug, which we need other classes to talk about all these different things, because there's so much you could do so easily. This stuff, I had this for my neighbors, and we had an evening dinner, and we were doing taste tests to get ready for this program. And, you know, by far, everybody likes the spruce tip tea. And it is so much healthier than vitamin C oranges. The stuff you're getting in the store, there's hardly any concentration of vitamin C anymore. And we live in Florida. We know the green disease is wiping out our fruit horribly. So, and they're just over processing and pushing fertilizers so fast that you just don't get your nutrients that you should be getting. So this is one way, right here local, that you can get that amount of quality. Now, this is a pot of fruit leaves. Now, any kind of fruit. And the Bible talks about all these things. If you study the Bible, you will see the amount. I mean, that's where I learn a lot of my stuff, and throughout generations with the book called The Great Controversies. The Amish and Mennonite were the anti-Baptists of that story. And it's over 100 years old, that book. It's so amazing. But I found that those leaves have more nutrients than the fruit themselves. So, strawberry leaves, apple leaves, pear leaves, mulberry leaves, raspberry leaves, blackberry leaves. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I mean, one day would love to do a course. We've done one down there. This was very popular. We did all the different types of drinks and teas and types of things that are so nutrient dense. And I just take, and I don't boil. I just simmer, I crush the leaves, throw them in the pot, make a big pot. And that big pot, I think it's 12 quarts, or 8 quarts. And then I just freeze them in baggies, lay them flat in the freezer on a cookie sheet, the bags, quart bags. And then I mark them, fruit tea. And we call it in our church in Florida, healing leaf tea. Because for cancers and for diabetes, those leaves are powerful compared to the other stuff that you get at the store that just, for one, you're getting all those calories. You don't have the calories in this at all that you do in the other stuff. And when I teach in Florida, the edible landscape people have me come out, and they can't even keep. I gave them, not these sheets, because this is specifically here for New York. In Florida, I have another list of things that grow in Florida, and they can't keep the guava trees in stock because of the cancer healing properties. They are wiped out the second they grow them, and they can grow them pretty fast. They can't keep up with them. And there's things here too that do have the same cancer fighting properties. So every area, I don't care where you live in the world, every area has cancer fighting properties. This is nettle tea. This is the powerhouse. This grows wild all over. I picked it up. I was hunting for it for 3 years. I couldn't find it. One of the guys from Florida that came up here to help me, I asked him to come and help me for 2 weeks. He's been here 2 years. He's so amazing. And he helps me with all kinds of things. And he went outside. I said, I've been hunting. Keep an eye out for stinging nettle. And he went outside the next day, and it was right there within 50 feet of my backyard. So I had him and my husband dig it up and put it closer to the house so I could just, what I found with stinging nettle, I found this out about 7 years ago. I was out west at my son's house in San Francisco, and we were at the big redwood forest. And we were walking down the stream sides of the redwood forest, and here was this stuff that to me looked like stinging nettle. And I've read in the native books, I have old native books of herbs and all kinds of medicinal things that my mother-in-law has collected over the years and had given to me. And the stinging nettle, the Iroquois used to take it and beat their backs in the spring. It opens their lungs. It just gets them, it gets the respiratory system working. With diabetes, with neuropathy, it helps with the feet. It's documented back in the war times of World War I and World War II. The Germans used to hit their legs with the stinging nettle to get their legs heated up before they went out to war. Because of the cold winters, they would beat that up against their legs. So the healing powers, the one thing with stinging nettle, it has more calcium, it has more minerals, it has more iron than liver, and in a plant. That's so unusual in a plant. And this stinging nettle grows in many countries and all over the place. And so I love my stinging nettle. The other month I made some stinging nettle tea for church, and they devoured it in 2 seconds. And it's a little bit more grassy tasting, I think, than a lot of the stuff that's so flavorful and good. Not bad, though. I mean, when you drink it, you want to drink more. Your body craves it. This is in Florida. This one, these hoop with the cattle panels we make in Florida. I made several up here. Nathan, that helps us, and my husband makes these hoop houses. They are so amazing to grow, and I have on your list hardy kiwi. Most people don't realize you can grow hardy kiwi here, and I have this lady here that she is so amazing. Her gardens, to fight with nature is no comparison to do a homemade garden, and she makes it all fit into nature surrounding. It's beautiful. If you ever get to go to her gardening thing, ask her where it is and whatever. I think yesterday just had it at her house, and I missed it again this year. So, I don't know how I did yet. It's so important. You don't need to have all these things. You need to just start with 5 or 10 items and then go from there, because and I'll show you in the next photo, here in this area, prolific, uh, 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 oh, what are they called? Red scarlet beans. They're a historical bean. And you can get them like in Baker's Creek and online at different places, the scarlet reds, and I have that in the list. They're so prolific. Unusual for a bean to be flavorful at the beginning stages when they're young. They're so flavorful. And here in Canada, we would grow them all the time. They're so prolific. And yet, then when you let them get older and dry on the pods, they make the best. Everybody in Florida wants the beans that I bring down in the fall, and I cook them in the Instapot, and they just melt in your mouth, and they have more flavor than the stuff you will ever get in the store. And it's amazing because it really doesn't take a lot to feed a family. Just part of that hoop that I showed before, you can get too many for a family. I mean, I do the kiwi and I do this on one part, and the hummingbirds, oh my word, they just go nuts over this plant. And the bees, and you need those bees for your gardens to pollinate. And so here is in Florida, I made a salad out of all of the wild things, and you can't really see it very well here, but I have cactus flowers. Now here we have the calendula, we have so many things that are so prolific out there in the yard that grow. And the thing is those plants that are wild here will grow. When I come back in April, they're all over the place. Our woods are full of leeks. I go and grab all the leeks I can, cut them off and dry them for the year. Or I take them and roll them up into little cigars after I blanch them for 2 minutes, and I roll them into little cigars, long cigars, just roll a bunch of them up and stick them on a cookie sheet to freeze. And then I take them and put them as many as I can. I can get 10 or so into a quart-size baggie. So my fridge is just loaded with all these things. And when you make soup with these things, I make native corn soup. My mother-in-law and I, for years, would make native vegetarian corn soup with these things. And so there's so much here that grows. And some of these I have in the list are seeds that are not wild seeds, yet they grow prolifically and they grow on their own. They reseed, and the next year I have lettuce there, the corn lettuce, which is so buttery and good and so not like anything you eat at the store. It just... And they always tell me in Florida that how nice my salads, how alive they taste. And I know it's just the fact that I'm using, probably because we have big church potlucks, I'll put in, 50% of iceberg lettuce or romaine or whatever is around in the area. And then the rest is wild. And to make it stretch, because to cook for that many people of, I don't know. We have some of our Florida church members up here today, the kids in the back, and Mom, can you raise your hand, and Michael, and Dad back there, and another mom over here, 2 families. Nathan yesterday at Vienna Church he just turned 18. He's been for several years now. We didn't have a pastor at our church down there, and he's been preaching once a month, or once a quarter. Yeah, I know every time we have plans to go somewhere and we hear, somebody will text us that we stop. We've canceled programs to just come. They did yesterday a beautiful program at Vienna Church. We were packed. And his cousin Michael does these videos on anxiety and depression and so many different little videos, shorts, 3 to 4 minutes. And they are so powerful. These young kids, and how old are you? 16? And then their brother, Matthew, he sings, and they all play piano, and, so they're coming up here because we're trying to force them to move up here because they are the hardest working couple families that we've had, and so we're so appreciative that they've come here today. This is just grabbing wild things from Creeping Charlie to wild mints, and the parsley isn't wild, but it's so prolific it reseeds, so that's part of my herb gardens, because herb gardens, if you have nothing else but to do herb gardens, they don't like good soil, they don't like to be fussed over, they reproduce every year. The parsley, I don't have to put it in the ground every year, it's just, it takes over. You got to pull out where you don't want it because it's so prolific. And then the dandelions in the center, I pull off the yellow parts and I throw them in all the salads. I put them in everything. The cancer-fighting properties in dandelions is amazing. So, this is in Florida. That's my pet brown bear. Right behind me, my husband said, "Oh, there is a cow 100 feet behind you." I just planted all the fruit trees. We build these food forests all over the place. We build them up here in New York, and we built them in Florida for our different churches and for the pastors and his family. And I just got done planting an acre of fruit trees. And there comes this brown bear, and he's up to here. His back is up to there on me. So he helps me out. Might need to put a fence up. This is a horribly small photo. I need to reshoot that. This is a kale tree. Now this is kale that grows about 6 feet tall, and it will grow for about 20 to 30 years once you plant it. So it's amazing. You just keep pulling off the bottom leaves and, as it grows, and it's very prolific. And this is just down the road around the corner, my son's property, the nettles, the fiddlehead ferns. And so in the spring, you only have about 2 to 4 weeks to collect those fiddleheads when they're tight and curled, and they are so amazing. And so I've stolen a few from him out of his woods, and I plant them in our garden on the north side where there's little light, so that I don't have to go foraging where it's wet. We have an area that's wet on our property. And so I don't have to come all the way over here because we're 40 minutes away to steal his nettle. And that's what it looks like when it's burned out. But then behind it are all the violets. And the wild violets, you pick those flowers, you can make beautiful, if they go beautifully on salads, you can eat them. There's so much nutrition in those compared to any little foo-foo things you can put on your salad that you get at the store. And you can make syrups out of them. You can make syrups out of, another thing you have prolifically around here is lilacs. Make the most beautiful syrups for on top of your pancakes. That's just, the next one is just showing the trees here in my backyard in one of the little food forests. But it's those young green tips you want to pick on the fruit trees, or any of the young tips on any of the fruiting plants have so many medicinal, and just look them up. One day I'll do a class on just the medicinal uses of each of these, and I write books, so I can't help but, write books on each subject. This is in our food forest, the Egyptian walking onions. When they bloom like that, there's these little seed pods, they get heavy, they go down on the ground, and they pop up again year after year, never have to replant them, and they walk across your garden. So you got to give them a little bit of room because they'll spread, but they're also easy to pull up and get rid of if you don't want them. And you take those greens and you chop them up in salads or soups. So they're amazing. And all those seed pods on top, you just take them, break them, and throw them the next place you want them, or give them to friends. And you have yourself walking onions out the wazoo. This is wild poke, and I stole it out of my neighbor's yard. She called me up one day. She said, "We're taking down some stumps, and there's all these poke over there, and I know you're looking for pokeweed," because when we grew up, we ate this pokeweed. Now, on the internet, it says it'll kill you. And it will if you don't process it right, maybe. You'll get a good stomach ache. But I'll tell you, this is 10 times better than any spinach you'll ever have, any greens you'll ever have in life. It's buttery. It's so delicious. And you eat a little amount of it and you're full and satisfied. And it grows so prolifically that you just got to get it when it's small like this, because they get within a year. When I cut them in the spring, they come up a little last. But they're, I don't know, 10 feet tall. And you see them around here with all those purple berries that will kill you. I don't know. We grew up eating the berries. We'd make jelly out of them, and we would use them for arthritis. You take 9 to 10 of them, 12, I do up to 19, and I haven't died. I told the guy that works for me, I said, I took 19 of them today because I was really sore. And that makes all the difference. And it just grows everywhere around here. And I can take it, dig it up, and put it right next to wherever I want it. And then the purple berries, they drop, and then you got a million of them all around. And so then I plant them where I want them. And they're easy to get rid of when you don't want them. But it's the young growth or the new leaves, which for me, they said it's only in the spring. We eat them all the way up until fall. So you just get the newer tips and that type of thing, cut them off and cook them. You do have to cook them, boil them, and then drain the water off, rinse them, boil them one more time, and I explain in the notes there that I gave you how you do it. Now, if it kills you, why did they sell it to us in cans up until 1950s when they took it off the market? That you could get it anywhere. That, in Pennsylvania, Maryland, where we grew up. I was born in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's all over the place, and it's all the way up to Canada. I think every state it grows in, except for here. Now, here's mushrooms, just to show you. I mean, chicken wire at the farm tractor supply. You just layer that, throw in the spores you get out of Amazon, and they will be prolific if you get it, at a north facing under trees or whatever. It will grow prolifically. But the wine caps, you can grow them flat. These are types that like to be grown, in crates or whatever, or bags or the laundry baskets. But the wine caps grow straight on the ground. You can just do a little area of 3 by 5, and you will have more mushrooms than you'll know what to do with. And then you just take them and slice them up, put them in the oven with your light on in your oven. Or if you can get a very low setting, I think my lowest is 175 on most of these new ones. I do have my husband, we never get each other gifts. We just don't, because we've been married for so long. Plus we just feel, if we notice each other the rest of the year, we don't need to just notice each other on our birthday. But he did one year buy me a big 22 sheet dehydrator. So I dehydrate all kinds of things, and you don't need to. I mean, with your oven, with that light on in your oven, for a couple days. It will dehydrate them nicely. Then you just put them in a jar after they're totally dehydrated, and you have them for a year. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they can last a lot longer than that. We just eat them too fast. This picture shows, well, storm was coming. You can see the rain coming down. On the right, it shows the comfrey. This is another powerhouse that once you put it in, you got to put it where you want it in your garden because it won't die. It stays clumped and nice. And I have that, all these things are in the notes that I gave you. To the left, you can see where I chopped it down. I chop it 6 to 8 times a year. It does better when you chop it. Otherwise, it gets moldy because the leaves are fuzzy and it holds a lot of moisture. This is one of the biggest things they talk about in the Native American healing books. It's called knit bone. And this is a mounding type. You don't want the ones that have seeds. This doesn't have a seed that shoots all over the place because it will take over. This is called, who knows, the Russian 14, I think it is. That's in the notes that I have for you. And it helps with so many different things. And I think Joni, I don't know if she's here, she made me this little cylinder like years ago of comfrey that she makes. I mean, there's so many incredible artisans around here that make amazing things and healthy things. I'm looking at one of them that has healthy milks and raw milks that we prefer. And but this little tin can, so thin and little, that's lasted me for years, putting for my cancer on my nose, for putting on my face, and it's lasted forever. And I take those little tins, she's given me 2, and I stuck one in the fridge, and the other one I use in the bathroom because, you know, the oils in them and everything will get rancid after a while. Yet it's lasted a year, and you can smell when it's rancid, so you don't want to use it when it's rancid. But this comfrey, the other thing is the tap roots go down 7 to 12 feet. So those tap roots will mine the minerals that you would never see in your other plants. So we put them around our fruit trees. We put them at different strategic places around my garden so that I can mine up those nutrients. And it's another thing they say, don't eat comfrey, but in the native community, you made a comfrey tea. So, and in the Mennonite community, we ate comfrey teas. So, I think it's incredibly powerful. I think you shouldn't drink too much of it, although anything in moderation and balance. This is the calendula, which is a marigold family. And this thing's so prolific, you put it there and it comes up every year, and it's beautiful. The bees like it. It's so amazing on salads. Actually, that's the one thing I think Joni puts in her salve that she gave me is the comfrey and the calendula, I think. I don't quite remember exactly what all she has in there. There's other people down the road here that nobody knows about that has the most amazing goat soaps. And I mean, they raise all their own goats and everything, and they're from Alaska. And I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, my son in Washington, D.C. called me one day and he said, you know, there's these people from Cranberry Farms that just moved from Alaska up to your area. You might check them out for all their products that they're making, and salves and ointments and amazing different things. And so I said, oh, that would be nice. And I kind of forgot. That Sabbath, I went down to Vienna Church, and there they are. And it's like, well, I didn't know they were Adventists. And just such amazing people. There's so many in this area. They're not good at putting out advertising and whatever, yet, you know, there's so many people here that are so talented that are just not out there in the regular market. So we are filled with a plethora of talented people in this area that don't know how to market, don't know how to, and two, the more stuff you make, that you lose the quality. It's the small batches that, are so nutrient dense. This is a weed that popped up in the back end of my garden. My neighbor just was telling me today hers popped up. This is mullein. Yeah, mullein. And my brain went, whew. Mullein. Now, I was so sick yesterday. I was dehydrated as could be. And I just was too tired to be able to even get home. As soon as we got home from the waterfalls where we were walking down the road here, I was starting to get so dehydrated and so sick. I went straight home, could barely make it up to bed, slept 12 hours straight. And I woke up this morning with severe chest pains. I thought, oh, that's good for a day. I can't breathe. And mullein opens up the lungs. It's another native plant that grows everywhere in the United States and Canada. And it's prolific around here along all the roadsides and everything. You can see the one in the back is starting to get the spike. That's a second-year plant. The first-year plants, I take the leaves, I just lay them on the counter. You don't even need to dry. They just lay them out on the counter, they dry. I grind them up, I make teas out of them. The tea, you have to think about it. You got to get it and, not boil it, but get it to that point where it's cooked, steeped long enough, and then I forget, and then I burn the pan, and then... So, but that takes about 30 minutes to do the tea. And I can tell you, the teas at the store, the mulleins and everything, the best quality ones I've gotten do no justice to what you can find here in your backyard. And it's so easy to process. I mean, you stick it in the little bullet. I love my bullets and my ninjas, man, those things, bam, and it's done. And that's my husband. Now, this is a very important thing here. This is my swamp juice, swamp tea, and it smells horrendous. I mean, it smells like a dead fish times 20. This is under the roof line of the barn, and the water, I have all these buckets lined up. It catches all the rainwater. I throw my comfrey in there. I throw all my kitchen scraps in there, and stinging nettle and comfrey just alone, those two, make the most amazing swamp teas. You do have to take it in that little blue bucket and water it down to maybe so in the background I have that orange bucket. I put a half a scoop of that into the blue can, fill the blue can up. I think that's a 2-gallon can. And I water my plants with it. And let me tell you, fertilizers, this stuff works so much better, and it's non-toxic. The fertilizers, I'm sorry, that they're selling us, they are killing us. And yes, they make the things grow quickly, but this is so easy to make. I mean, you just get a bucket, a trash can. This happens to be a bucket from my dad's laboratories from Washington, D.C., but a 55-gallon bucket in Florida, I just buy a big bucket. You don't put the lid on it. If you do, you tilt it so that it has air, so that it ferments, because it will bubble. Some days you'll come out there and it's alive, it's breathing, it's, and it smells horrendous. And I don't use it before I go to church, because when it gets all over me, I don't know that I could smell it. But everybody else can. And this is borage. This is a plant that most people do not use anymore, and it's so prolific. I got two little plants, and this is what I got out of it. And it's by seeds. I mean, I just threw the seeds in there, but this year they popped up two little things, and I put them over in another area that I wanted them. They're so beautiful on salads. They're so beautiful made into ice cubes. You throw a couple into the ice cubes, and they make such a pretty presentation. They are so nutrient dense. And the leaves, the young leaves, taste like cucumbers in salads. In the spring, when they first start popping up, I chop them up and put them in the salads. These are bumblebee, bee attractors. They are just so prolific. So if I want them near my fruit trees to bring in other bees, I kind of cut them down to keep a clump because I feel the bees like them more than my fruit trees. Yet the thing is they do have to bloom. You have to pick the things that bloom like when your fruit trees are blooming, because that's what attracts the bees. This is elderberries. This is elderberries. Very prolific, easy to grow, like kind of wet soil. So I have it at the part of the barn where it collects a lot of water. And the elderberries, everybody thinks of them how nutritious they are for the berries. The flowers are actually more nutritious than the berries. So I take these, I have some in the back for you to sample. It's a little bit, what do you call it, mucilage, that little thick tasting. I don't mind. I think it's such a fresh, nice, it's a nice leftover on the tongue. And all those things I don't have to put sugars into. They're good just the way they are, except for I did forget today the sumac tea, and that's one of the most popular. And I just kind of forgot it in the back of my fridge. I had 8 million bottles there, and I thought, oh, that's a lot of bottles. And everywhere I go, everybody asks me to make the sumac tea, and I make it with maple syrup like the traditional. My mother-in-law taught me to make it with maple syrup because that's what was prolific around here. And so when I'm at the Onondaga Church, which we have some Onondaga Church families here today, from that reservation, I make it for there too. And it's just so easy because when I condense it, and someday we can do a class on that to show you how you make these things fast and easy. I make grape juice in no time. And there's a special European canner that we use as Germans. And it's so easy. All you do is throw your grapes on the top level. There's 3 levels. So you put in the bottom level, you put the water, and I put stones so I can hear them rattle. Because as soon as the stones stop rattling, then I know I'm running dry and I'm burning the pan. Because I don't want to keep picking it up and looking. Then in the second layer, it collects all the juice. The top layer is like a big strainer, so it's about so tall. And the top, you just throw all the grapes. You throw your apples to make it stretch, because if I don't have enough grapes, wild grapes or Concord grapes, I had somebody from the Oneida Reservation that used to get me grapes all the time, and I used to split with her. I'd make this stuff, and then I'd give her half, and I kept half for making everything. It's so fast and easy. I mean, I can make liter after liter of it so quickly. And as all you do after you throw that in, it makes it captures the juice. And you have a hose and you just pull the clip and it goes pouring into the jars. And you'll see my glass top jars in there. I just put the glass top on it with a rubber ring. It seals. I mean, you can do it with any kind of canning jar. It's just I use the old European styles because they clean easy. I don't have any plastic. I don't have anything to leach off into, because some things like the sumac tea will corrode the lids because it's so strong in vitamin C. It just corrodes the lids. But here's where I'm making the elderberry, and I threw rose petals in there and who knows what else, whatever was in the garden at the time, because if you put those other weeds and nutrient dense things that are growing at the same time as those blooming items, you get a synergistic use that absorbs in your body better. You can see at the top that little jar. Some people, you can buy weights and all that. You don't have to. I just took a little canning jar and laid it on top to keep the stuff submerged. And so you just throw all those raw things in the gallon jar. For me, I do a gallon at a time. And then I put that weight on top and then put a piece of fabric on top with a rubber band to get it to breathe. And in 2 days, I have a cultured elderberry tea that is so much more healthy. And the elderberry grows wild everywhere. Up and down the roads, you'll see right now these white flowers blooming alongside of the road in the ditches. And the ditches are catching water, so that's what the elderberry's like. So I mean, as long as I go to a back area, because in Florida, I don't have elderberry yet growing in our food forest, I will just go to a remote area along the roads, because you don't want all the dust and dirt from the cars and everything. And I just take them, and you don't wash things to death. We are so brainwashed in this country. Let me tell you, you need those cultures of those different things to make your cultures take charge. People overwash, they over-sanitize. Right before COVID, my father's a virologist, microbiologist. So believe me, I know all the horrible things that go on and the chemicals and stuff that they're putting in these things. And my father would fight against this for years and years. Why do we need all these chemicals and heavy metals and all these things we're taking, and medications and vaccines, and they're heavily loaded with all those things. And he used to tell me that right before COVID, they were ready to take off the market the antibacterial things. All of this. You go into your mouth, it goes into your gut, it kills everything. Antibacterial, it doesn't sit there and go, oh, well, that's the good bacteria, that's the bad, it just kills everything. And I do feel a lot of our things, and I mean my father and the other researchers would tell me, these are things that are killing us. They were ready to take it off, then COVID happened, and then all of a sudden it was, we need this out the wazoo. Because they were ready to take it off the market because it was so bad. And it's on your skin. Your skin is 90% of your organs. It's so absorbed so rapidly into your skin when you're putting that on like that, and so it's just not a good thing to have. These wild lilies, I don't see any blooms on them here. I think I took it before the blooms came out, but it's this stage where the wild lilies, July 4th every year, I remember, the wild lilies grow everywhere along the roadsides and everything in this area. They're so prolific. Those little tips are so delicious, those little tight buds. Even when they open a little bit, we just fry them in a pan. We can't stop eating them. The only thing is you have to control yourself eating them, because you will be in the bathroom for a very long time with gut pains, because it's just too much all at once. This is my neighbor. She gave me these red lettuce leaf plants, and this is in my wild plants because it's a weed. It grows every year, not in my garden like a weed like her garden. She's got them, but it's starting, that top point is starting to go to seed because it's summertime, and when it gets hot, it bolts and goes to seed. But those young plants, I've got another one growing in the back end on the north side where there's no sun. I'm still getting good, because I get bitter as the summer goes on because of the sun. But if you plant some on the east side and the south side and the north side, not the west, because the west sun can be too hard on the plants. They'll bolt quickly, they'll get bitter faster. She grows the most beautiful ones, and and she gives me, and I really appreciate all that. This is lovage. This grows about 30 years. You put the seeds in the ground, it grows well up north here. It tastes like celery. It's like celery stalks. It's beautiful, it's prolific. It doesn't take very much. It's very concentrated, so you don't want to use a lot of it. But it has a hollow stem. You can use it for drinks in the summertime. It gets a little bit of that flavor of the celery, with a tomato drink. I skim the tops off my tomatoes when I'm canning all that water, and I make juice out of that water, the tomato juice, and it's like so good. And the lovage can grow 6 to 8 feet tall. It does mound and it stays in control, but you want to put it in your backside of your garden, which I explained on that, because you don't want it shading everything, because it will kind of take over. Now, this is another wild plant, but you can buy seeds online. It's lamb quarters, and it makes such a nice fried up in your stir fries, or you can add it to different things, because you cannot, even if you make a juice out of it, a cold press juice. In other words, you just put it in cold water, let it sit for a day or two. Maybe put in the bullet first to grind it, to beat up and pulverize, and then strain it off and put it in the fridge. You will have a very nutritious drink that tastes decent. Then you take that and maybe you say, okay, I got lovage out there in the back. I'm going to take a couple leaves of the lovage and grind it up with it. And that celery taste of the lovage with it adds a different depth of flavor. So it's just playing around with those things. This is another weed, not a good picture, but this is just a weed that grows everywhere. The Native Americans called it it is plantain, but they called it the white man's footprint, because wherever you disturb the soil is where it grows up, or in any pathways. And so then the Native Americans were using it for medicinal reasons. And so it's often talked about in the old native books. This is gooseberry, and they're a bush, and they grow low, which in your food forest, you want all these different levels and of interest, and you get the tall trees, and then underneath you put this layer and then that layer, and you can compact an enormous amount of plants in a food forest that you don't get. I mean, my gardens are small, well, except for my food forest, because we feed so many people at this point. But the gooseberries have these prickers all over them, so the birds don't get them, because the elderberries, they got them plucked off, so I eat the elderberry flowers. I don't feel like putting a net on them because I'm too lazy. And I mean, 12 hours, 16 hours a day of work is about all I can do. And so the gooseberries, they're up and under the bush, and you can pick those, and they have such a nice flavor, and you can sit there and eat a bowl of them and not feel guilty. I lost 90 pounds. My health was so out of control. And a lot of Amish people are dealing with such amazing health problems. And it's not, I know this sounds odd, but because they're now eating from Walmart and the dollar store and everything else, the chemicals and garbage that is in all their foods they're eating, and they eat heavily on meats. So now they're coming to us and asking for plant-based cooking classes, and they have plant-based cooking classes here. And several of our Adventist churches all over, they have a lot of health programs. We get an amazing amount of people in Florida, in the middle of the countryside, that are not Adventists, that come to the plant-based cooking things. And the Mennonite and Amish are just getting to the point, because they're having 8 to 14 children. It's depleting the women's bodies. The men are staying lean and thin from being out working, but the women aren't burning that off, and they're getting overweight. They're getting such incredible illnesses now, and I know it's directly related to our foods, because I never saw that growing up. Never saw anybody overweight. I mean, when we were kids, I never saw anybody overweight, period. I lost 90 pounds over the last few years because I had to get back in control. And these are things, I mean, I had to study. And I start finding, because at the church in Florida, they would talk about these Bible-related things. There's this lady that does this condensing, taking things from the spirit of prophecy, this lady that wrote books 150 years ago, and the stuff that's in her books, it's unreal. And she condenses it to make it understandable and to the point in these little thin booklets, because I don't want to read 500 books at this lady. She's the most prolific writer ever in history, this lady that from 150 years ago from our church. And so it's just, this is a serviceberry. Tree. And this is, again, prolific, and it has we use it in landscaping all the time. There's so many plants we use in landscaping that are very edible, and nobody knows about them. And we need to start bringing them back. In the spring, they have the beautiful blooms all over them. In the middle of summer, they have a nice shape. You can, get them to look in your regular landscaping. So if you don't want all these, because our gardens, we try to make them not look like gardens. They look like landscape. And I know you're good at that part of it, of making everything so gorgeous. And then in the fall, they get these berries on them that make the most amazing jams. And they're just little berries, but I'll tell you, so packed with nutrition compared to anything else. This is a choke cherry. Now, this is another one on the native here with the reservations from here to Canada, the Ojibwe and everything else. They make all kinds of medicines out of this. And they're choke cherries. They're horrible when you just eat them like that. Yet you make jellies, jams, teas, drinks with maple syrup. They're amazing. And I could probably put that in my German canner. And these canners are not that, they are $100, but I'll tell you what I can make out of them in no time of juices and not have to peel. I don't have to peel apples, nothing. I just cut the apples in half. I leave the seeds in them. I make apple juice, grapes, I don't have to, cherries, anything. I don't have to seed anything. I just throw them in that container in the top and turn on the burner. And within 45 minutes of that water boiling, all of a sudden I have jar after jar after jar of juices. And this is what the serviceberry looks. It has a beautiful leaf in the fall, and it's another tree that has a beautiful shape to it. So they use them all the time in landscapings, but it's like, why have we forgotten this plant? I mean, within the native reservations, they've used them for centuries. This is the hardy kiwi that grows in this area. Now, not the fuzzy one the big ones that you get at the grocery store. These are little, like large grapes, and they're like a vine, and I grow them on that arch top panel. And they are more nutritious than the big ones by far. So you eat a couple of them and you feel satisfied. And this is the thing. The other thing my father told me when he was working for NIH and for John Hopkins and Letterly and Merck Sharp and Dohme, he said they are putting so many chemicals in our food that make us hungry all the time. Like, you can't eat a bag of chips. You can't eat one chip, the advertisement. You have to eat the whole bag because of the chemicals they sprinkle on them. And my father was asked to work for Dow Chemicals after he got fired for trying to stop. My father made the German measles rubella vaccine, and he tried to stop them from putting it on the market in 1960, and he was fired for it. Because of what they were adding to it, and he didn't want to do that. So they asked him at Dow Chemical in Illinois to come and work for him. He went up there to the interview to meet with them, and I remember he used to come home and tell me stuff every night at the dinner table was all that, and to me it was very interesting, and for being as young as I was, I always found it interesting. And he said, "Robbin, I can't work there." He said, "They're putting chemicals in our foods to make us hungry, and I can't I can't do that. In my conscience, I can't, do that at all. So that's, I think this is the last one. This is tuna sinensis. This is so amazing. This tastes like beef, roasted beef and onions. And it's all the new tips. Now, when they grow 40 feet, so they can get pretty big. Now, we are on the borderline because I grow these in Florida by the tons. Now, in zone 5, they grow well. We're zone 4. The thing is they grow so fast. I'm pretty sure if I put it on the west side of our concrete wall to create a different zone, plus I cut it back because the best is the new tips, cut it all the way down and then mulch it heavily. I will get, because it's all by the rootstock, and I've read other people saying that they've been able to do that. So, and then you take the tips and put them in a stock pot, steep them. I don't boil things often. I usually steep. There's a few things you want to boil like chaga, but everything else I just steep. Because if you try to boil, you're just killing all the enzymes and everything. So I let it steep for a little bit, turn it off, let it sit there for a half hour, and then I drain it and put it in my quart baggies, and I just have baggie after baggie, and I take boxes from the grocery store and Amazon, and I just line them up so it's nice and even, and I have my tuna sinensis, my beef and onions, I have my asparagus. I got on the list. Asparagus, I know it takes 4 years to get it growing, but I'll tell you, once it grows, it's amazing. It tastes like ham. So for those, because we have a lot of people in Florida that are not total plant-based, but they come to our plant-based because they want to learn how to eat healthier and without, because the thing is all of our meats, they are just pumping. It's not like it used to be in the 60s. They're just mass producing and pumping them with steroids and everything else. And so we are eating whatever they ate or whatever they were injected with or whatever. And so when I see the people these days, I can't even believe the people in their 20s and 30s. They are so overweight and they're so sickly looking and they can barely move and they can barely do anything in a day, and they go, Robbin, I'm 66, and how are you doing? It's health. Because just not long ago, 7 years ago or so, I was so sick I could only get from my bed to the bathroom, and that was it. And I was so sick I couldn't focus well enough to cook. So I would burn everything. And so I just thought, this is ridiculous. My grandmother was 107 years old and still canning and cooking. This is ridiculous. So that's when I decided I'm gonna crack the code on this, and I'm gonna share it with other people. And I said to God, if you heal me, I will do whatever I can to help anybody get out of that, because I was so sick. And I know I would put a smiling face on when I would go to church or whatever, and I would collapse at the end of the day after just the church service, and I would collapse and I would hear them talking these Bible studies, and it was in Florida. Our church down there is so strong, so good at breaking the Bible down so that it's understandable, because a lot of the stuff is not understandable anymore. And they did such a good job of breaking things down, and for the power of prayer. We'd had 2 years of just Wednesday night prayer meetings on the power of prayer, written by that same lady from 150 years ago that had written all these 500 books. I don't know what else. I don't know how she did it. And she was very sickly and ill as a young child. She almost died and, wasn't expected to live much. And she had a very unhealthy life. And she lived to 78 or so. And so the stuff is so powerful in her books. I know they have some in the back there that I think they give away. the books are so powerful. And it's so, my mother-in-law would show me the similarities, and my husband does a lot of research and whatever as to some of the similarities between the Amish, because my mother left the Amish church for the Seventh-day Adventist church because their practices were so similar, and my mother's family was shunned. So they couldn't live on the Amish in Lancaster anymore. And my husband and my mother-in-law would show me the similarities of the native culture of the Iroquois, the Haudenosaunee people, and how similar they are to the books written between Ellen White and the Bible, and all the similarities. And I thought, wow, that's wild. To have all that information. So that's it. So questions for anybody? Yeah. Could we get a microphone? And because this is live stream, so if you don't talk in the microphone, there will be a lot of people upset with me that weren't able to make it from the powwows and that came. And I don't know, Matthew, can you run around the microphone? Matthew in Florida, he is our professional microphone runner for. It's amazing that they're all here for this time because they've been so helpful to me, helping our different churches for the last 2 weeks.
Robbin, I'm going to take the opportunity to ask the first question. Because we did run out of the handouts and because it was very nicely done, is it possible to get an email copy of that?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll have a sign up in the back.
Yes.
And if you'd like an emailed copy, and we apologize for running out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We didn't expect this many people.
My question is, what is your take on like the essential oils? A lot of them are coming from different plant sources and all, but the strength of them, quality of them, are they anything that would be in comparison to?
I think because some of these companies are making such mass production, I think you're better off with some of the smaller, maybe not always, but find a good quality source. Yes, essential oils are amazing. A matter of fact, if I put 1 drop into the pineapple tea, which is just made out of the pineapple skins and core, and this has been made for centuries in the native, in Mexico and whatever, just a touch of that into the tea just brings it to life. Or if I make it and I don't have any lemon zest, because I don't want to get the stuff from the trees up, from the grocery stores up here. We grow in Florida, so I take my lemon zest and put them in bags and freeze them. But it's better with the oils, and yes, they can be incredibly concentrated, incredibly good. There's this young girl I help ministries all around the world in health production, health programs, and she makes eucalyptus, and it smells like cat urine, but you just take 1 or 2 drops and put it into hot water, and my brain just goes clear. It's unreal. So, and there is a lady that is moving here, very famous, one of the Adventist nutrition geniuses in food making. She makes small batches of food, and she will be moving here to this area. We're just drawing up the building plans and so on because we're expanding massively in our health productions up in this area, and she has this drink that I just gave it to my neighbor the other day to test taste, because I don't want anybody to have it and not love it. This thing lights up your brain, and it makes you so clear, and it doesn't give you the jitters of caffeine. It's made out of carob and some kind of African flower or herb. And so they collect these herbs. A lot of our churches collect and make things from all over their areas or around the world, or they might have just specifically, like myself, just here, or for me, just in Florida, because I do go down to Florida for the winter. And so those oils, as long as it's just like anything else, the source of where you're getting them.
Right.
And I don't know if there's somebody around here. And I know we should start collecting, and I have been and will start collecting. But this lady, she makes the plant-based chicken like you've never tasted it. It's not like the soy meats that you get in the stores and all that. It's handmade, small batches, and it tastes better than chicken. It doesn't taste, I think it just tastes better than chicken. And then she makes this patty, and there's nobody else that I know of that makes the quality of foods she's making. And so I've been bugging her for 7 years. Please, every time I see her in Arizona or in Canada or Florida, I go up to her booth where she makes these decadent carob chocolates. And I'll tell you, carob tastes horrible. She makes this taste so good. And they're so amazing. When I tasted one of them, and I was satisfied with just 2, like probably 4. But when I had her stuff, I was satisfied. And she was telling me, every year I'd go up to her booth, and the first time I tasted it, she went to school with my kids over at Union Springs Academy. And I would go up to her and I'd said, Heidi, as soon as I tasted it, I said, Heidi, when are you moving to Oneida? And she laughed and she whatever. And then the next year I saw her somewhere else, and I just saw her in Arizona. We're meeting a couple times out in Arizona. She just came up here because now we're starting to plan the factory and everything for her, a small factory, because again, quality over quantity. And so every year I kept doing it. It was only this spring she called me and she said, Robbin, I'm ready to come up here to Oneida. And she lives in Babylon, New York. That's where she lives, out on Long Island. And I said, oh, really? Heidi, you should know. What does the Bible tell us about Babylon? Get out of Babylon. So she is coming up here. And then not only that, we have a family from Pennsylvania that is very much into health ministry, because we're gearing up for massive health ministries in this area because the people are so sick. And I get calls every day with people even in Chicago. They'll call me, the native people, and tell me, they're suicidal. And I know that because I was there when I was so sick. And they were giving these medications, and I was never suicidal in my life until I had the antidepressants. And then I became suicidal. And I thought, well, this is not right. What's going on? And I think, too, because so many generations of not having those medications, I don't think Mennonites, I don't think Native Americans process the things in the same way. Their bodies don't recognize it. And so I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. Any other questions?
Have you ever lectured at Union Springs Academy over there?
I haven't. They did ask me to. I just haven't. I just started since we've been here. I know the Oneida Nation had asked my husband the other day, because I know a lot of them wanted to come here to this and couldn't because it's powwow season, and they're down in Bear Mountain right now, a lot of them. So they wanted to be here, and because they keep begging me to do these classes. All the Shenandoahs and the Winders and so on have been asking me to do these classes, and I just haven't had a building to do them in. And so this church was the first to offer me a building to do this.
Thank you for this. 2 questions. One is very quick. You kept saying this lady wrote all these books, but you never gave us her name.
Ellen White
Oh,
is
that
her
was
name.
the name?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ellen White.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say her name. I didn't say her name.
Okay.
Amazing books of health and ministries of healing. I don't know what are some of Brian here. Back to Eden. There are several, huh?
Jethro Cloth, who wrote the Back to Eden book.
Yeah, Back to Eden. But what other ones did Ellen White write? That there's so many. It's spread out through all of her books.
Ministry of Healing.
Ministry of Healings, yes. And they're doing it, our Florida church, they're condensing to get to the main beef of it. Although I have to say, when I was a kid and would listen to that, wow, this woman is so brilliant. I just can't get over the wealth of knowledge she has. It impressed me at the age of 11 or 12.
Third grade education.
Yeah, she had a third grade education, and that was it. Yeah.
Okay, then, my main question really was, I thought about it early on, what do we, I don't know what your thoughts about this, but I believe there really are chemtrails that they're spraying us with. I've seen the evidence in my backyard and on my flowers, and it makes them turn all yellow and like green, and I'd love to forage natural
Yes.
stuff, but what do we do about that?
Pray before you eat.
Thank you.
That's all I worked with Robert Kennedy Jr. before he started to run for presidency, because we were working on together the Children's Defense Fund. And that's for children with autism.
Very familiar with
Yes. And so we were working with him, and I told him one day, I mean, he was so wonderful, the group that we had. There was just a few of us, maybe 10 or 12. And they're just such hard working. And because of my father and what he did over the years, they asked me to talk to him. And I did. And I told him, I said, you guys are so concentrated right now on the COVID this and COVID that. Let me tell you, it's not just the vaccines, it's in the air, it's in the water, and it's in our food. And everything else in between, everything they can put it in. So I don't know what to say. It's not good. I shouldn't be here on a mic saying all this because I've gotten in trouble. My brother-in-law has gotten in a lot of trouble, and my father over the years for saying things. But if we just sit back and do nothing, you know, I'm watching people be so sick like I've never seen.
So what do we do, though? I mean, you said we have to rinse it, we have to wash it, but then I'm not even sure about the water.
Don't overwash things because you're wiping off a lot of the nutrients and a lot of the things. I have such a small garden that I actually eat out of, and it's just so prolific. And I focus on those things, and I don't keep worrying about what do they have in the store, although I do get things at the store from time to time, and then I pray. But it is truly, this is why we're doing these health programs, because we have a lot of knowledge within this church of hundreds of years of focusing. The health ministries is the most important portion. You know, Loma Linda is part of the Adventist church. I mean, they've gotten off, I have to say, to more of the pharmaceutical, whatever. But I can tell you, my niece just graduated from the Oneida Reservation. She graduated from Loma Linda for natural healing. She's got her MD, but with a side. She's so smart. And so she's supposed to come back here and start working. Eventually she's working at Loma Linda in the health areas. And I keep telling her every time, she'll be here next week or so, and I tell her every time she comes out and we text back and forth, please be aware. And there is. When I go out to Loma Linda and I meet with her friends, they're very aware. There's like two divisions. There's the pharmaceutical division and then the natural. And I said, you need to come back here and help me with these programs. And she said she will, and I think she will at some point. She's brilliant at what she does. And so, and it's getting all these things broken down into how quickly, I mean, you just have to be aware, and I think a lot of these things on the sheet will help you, but I'll tell you, there's so many. I do like 20 or 30 different classes in Florida, and I can't produce them fast enough because we got to get down to the point where, for one, it's interesting. Two, it gives you solid information, not fluffy 1 hour podcast and YouTube videos that you don't learn anything. We want it to be, fast and easy, but there's so much more I could tell you. It's just we would have a 12-hour program.
Well, maybe if you tape them, then you would have them. And you
Yeah, that's
wouldn't-
why I asked them today to tape, because there are so many people all over the place that I know that like that I can give it quickly. Now, the Indian reservation, Diane Shenandoah and several have asked me to do YouTube videos. I don't know how to push a button on these things, and I need these kids to move up here from Florida so they can push buttons for me, so that I can do. Michael does these short 3 minutes to 4, and I'll tell you, you can get information in 3 to 4 minutes of different subjects. Not like I'm doing 50 subjects in one. Yeah.
Well,
And
I'm
there's
very
a-
interested. Thank you.
Yeah, a question back there. And I'm sorry, that's not a good enough answer. I wish I could. There's no magic pill, I can tell you. And it does take prayer. It takes sitting in silence and listening to nature. We go out in nature, walks, and you hear the Creator when you sit in some silence. When you get so busy, and they keep us so busy with this and that, and this exciting thing and that, and to where we're so distracted these days. I did a thing at Onondaga last week about how distracted we are that you can't even think.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need a mic. First of all-
No, we can't hear
Oh,
online.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. First of all, what's on the table to your left?
Oh, yes.
And secondly, there's blue spruce and white spruce. What do you prefer for the...
Thank you.
Spruce tea.
Yeah, my neighbor knows to prompt me onto things. White spruce, there's several that are good, and I wrote them on that list. Do not take the spruce tips of the blue spruce. They're beautiful, but there's so many diseases in that, and it's very cultured. It's not a natural tree, but white pine, spruce. Spruce has such a wonderful flavor. White pine we make at Oneida. We're always making on the territory. We're always making batches of white pine tea. It's very much within the generation of culture to use that white pine, that it's so healing. And what's on the table? This is for making sauerkrauts. And I just wanted to show you because these are such beautiful, easy. They're airlocked so you don't get moldy stuff, because if you're new at it and you don't know what to do, although this, you can use just about any container, like a jar like this. You can see it bubbling. And the sauerkraut, I think it's only been sitting for 3 or 4 days. I was going to have samples for you, but it hasn't sat long enough. But these little disc are too slick, but I don't know if you can see that. Those little discs actually fit into this crock, so it comes with that crock, and then you put water in this ring, and the ring, you lay this on top with the water, and then the water seals all the back, anything that could make that moldy. And in the back, when we test the teas, and I just wish I had more, but there's some of them like the spruce tip tea. When you're done doing what I did here today, you put them in here, let them sit on the counter for a few days, and these fizz up. You got to burp them every couple days. and then put them in the fridge, and you have yourself the most amazing soda. And so easy to make. It's not like it's that difficult. This, my neighbor helped me make. It's turned green. It was not that green. This is just garlic and honey. And if you do 50% garlic to 50% honey, this will last a couple years, maybe 4 or 5 years. It's just, you got to keep it in a dark place. And that, I just take a little bit of a tip of a little spoon and eat it. And it is so much better. It's an antibacterial, a garlic is. And you just take a little bit, and it is so nice and sweet and whatever. And it started turning green because the psyllium or whatever in the garlic has made it, this type that I did is making it green. But then what if you took the nettle and took some of the juice of the nettle and poured it in there a little bit to make it even greener? Because the nettle gets really rich green, and so it would you can give it to the kids. And this is an old jar from our reservation in Canada from back in the 70s. They used to sell peanut butter in these, and I used to buy them just to get the peanut butter jar. And we didn't have money to do that, but I just did, and all these years. But the kids, it would get them interested in eating their medicines, because I could have a whole class on just medicines made that are simple. She said, can I cook with that? Yes, and I do all the time. It's just that with the honey in it, you want to put it into something that goes with that. Now, the other thing I do, as soon as my garlic, which it'll be ready here soon for harvesting, I will take it and grind it up and just use it ground up with nothing in it but a touch of olive oil. And I put it in the fridge. That olive oil keeps it in the fridge up to a year. And so then for the things that I don't want something sweet in, I just want garlic. I mean, it's very condensed and it gets stronger. So you don't only need a little bit to throw into your cooking. And
So, Robbin, I want to jump in real quick. We've been sitting for about an hour and a half. I just want to see a show of hands. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll see how many people do have more, because we're going to have time to visit with you afterwards. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to ask your question now, we have time for about 1 or 2 more, and then we'll get to connect with you afterwards.
yeah, while there, if you put hands up so he can see if there is anyone with questions, I'm just going to tell you about the kraut. This is sauerkraut just made out of carrots. So strong. Once you get those probiotics, you take a little spoon of this, and in the Amish communities, you put your sauerkrauts on the side, and you only put a little bit, and that helps your digestive system. You know those pills you buy for $4,000 at the store? They have like 10,000 bacteria, whatever. These have a lot more by far when you make them yourself. And that took us not long. I mean, I was a little slow, my neighbor and I, the other day, because we had way too many things to do. But this just is so healthy and nutritious. You can also put other things in it. I think I have other lists here that you can pick up in the back, pick which items are important to you and which aren't. You can put ginger in it. I put a lot of turmeric in this to make it really orange. Plus that adds nutrition. And the sauerkraut has a lot of weeds in it, and you don't taste any of the weeds. It just makes it taste more flavorful than regular sauerkraut by far compared to the stuff at the store. This, we won't be doing this today, or the beet kvass. The beet kvass was one of the most popular at the classes that I do. It just wasn't ready in time. Beet kvass is something we make, the Germans and Mennonite, and it's just made out of beets and carrots and garlic and whatever you want to put in there in that family of root vegetables, and you just put water in it and let it sit for 2 weeks or a week. I think in 3 days you can actually get some out of it, you know, and depending how strong or whatever. I was shocked when we did it at Florida and we did taste testing. That was everybody's favorite. But then I didn't have spruce tip tea at that time. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Mel, yeah.
I just had a couple comments on questions that people have raised. As far as essential oils, my next door neighbor, a lady has been coming to her home and helping her. She's helped people for 20 years or more, and she's tried all kinds of essential oils, and really the number one essential oil, they haven't lost their mission. I think they're still the best. My wife and I used them ourselves, is Young Living.
Yeah.
So whether you
That's
find
what I
somebody,
hear a lot,
you find
Young
somebody
Living.
that's either can get that for you, or you can go to the company and sign up or whatever. I have no connection with them, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, and they're a very big company, and you can probably get that online, maybe even on Amazon, or,
Yeah.
I think they're like a distributor of
Yeah.
independent people.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I personally, I'd rather find somebody personally that I knew. Amazon's great, but there's all these counterfeits. that are
Yeah,
sold on
I don't know,
Amazon,
does
so-
Joni make any
Yeah.
essential oils? No, okay.
The other thing, as far as Ellen G. White, if anybody wants to get used to her writings, instead of going out and buying 100 books, you can get from the Adventist Book Center, you can get the Ellen G. White CD for $20, plus like $5 shipping, whatever. It has everything, virtually everything that she ever wrote, hundreds of thousands of pages on all the different subjects. It's laid out in paragraph format, so you can just type in one or more keywords and find exactly what you're looking for. And so if somebody wants to get used to her writings or get into her writings without going out and buying 100 of the books, that's the way to do it.
And a lot of the Adventist churches do have the books for free
Right.
in their whatever. And two, sitting behind the computer over there,
Yeah.
he was, Randy got me into making my own tinctures.
Mm.
And so I do classes, he does better classes than I do in tinctures. I was so impressed. Years ago, I went to his place, and he had all these jars of different tinctures made up. And I was having such problems with high blood pressure. And he gave me some walnut oil that he made. And those tinctures, just little drops, can do amazing things. And he has classes here at times where he talks about those things. And he's a wealth of knowledge. I think he's even written a book on this subject. So, yeah.
And then one other thought was just about, and this is in addition to all the wonderful things you've been talking about, but if you know the name Barbara O'Neill,
Yes.
my next door neighbor has also gotten her recent book. It's about 2.5 to 3 inches thick. It's well bound. It's quality paper. It's about $80. $80 in a doctor's office gets you about 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So if you, and the reason I mentioned Barbara O'Neill is because virtually everything that she teaches now, and she goes into water therapy and everything, that's the most condensed version I know of the teachings of Ellen G. White.
I got to get that one written down. Barbara O'Neill is really big on YouTube. She is an Adventist.
She may have her own website. I'm not
yeah.
sure. I don't have the link to that.
She
but-
is the grandmother of health or something they call her.
Well, and
She's
they
in her
basically drove
70s.
her out of her own country, or they shut her down completely.
Yeah, they threw her out of Australia
Yeah.
and banned her for talking health.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know she's good.
Right.
Could we get a pronunciation of that essential oil,
The
the number one?
Young Living,
Young Living.
Young Living, Young Living. Yeah, yeah.
That's the name of the oil? That's the name of
That's
The
the
name of the
name of the
company.
company, and they have all different types of essential oils. So, yeah, read on, because they'll have a list of what they're good for and what they're, you know, and some of them, if they're, you got to just make sure they're edible, or food grade, put them into just hot water, and you'll get beautiful teas out of them instantly. Because just compared to any of that junk on the shelves at the store, very few, even at the health food stores, are any good.
You took my mic, but I'll make one other comment. The best appliance you can possibly have in your kitchen is a Vitamix. And they have 5 to 7 year warranties. If anything goes wrong with it, they pay the shipping to and from to fix it.
What's Light Mix?
Vitamix.
Oh, Vitamix.
Vitamix.
Oh, yeah.
They're fabulous.
Yeah, they are. They're expensive. You can get a lot of things done with your NutriBullet or Ninja, but the Vitamix is the top.
If you get
in
on their
cream
email
color.
list, usually in the fall, they have a sale.
Oh, in the fall they have a sale.
Vitamix blender.
Plastic.
It's a very high-grade plastic, but it's
Robin, is it? Do we have?
We're done.
We'll wrap up here. We want to honor your time. We're so grateful that you joined us, Robin. We are so grateful for your presentation. I'm going to say a quick word of prayer, and then Robin, if you would guide us, we're going to transition, but we'll want more information from you about the teas. So we'll migrate. But let me say a quick prayer. Father in heaven, Lord, I praise you and thank you that you have abundantly provided for our health, for the nutritional needs of our bodies, and that even with all the things that this world is facing now, we can still access these things in abundance. I pray that you'd please go with us as we fellowship together and enjoy some teas and refreshments. Bless our conversation and our fellowship, and thank you, Father, for Robin. I pray that you'd bless her as well. In Jesus' name, amen.